One of the ideas that we had at the very beginning is that we wanted a garden that completely supported itself. And the only thing that we really bring from outside is municipal water. We're never without crops that we can eat. We always have beautiful foods that are in perfect condition any month of the year.
That's worm juice. It comes through the drain.
The bathtub drain.
Bathtub drain.
Kind of mind-boggling how gorgeous of a day it is here up in West Seattle. It's been a minute, but what a winter it has been. We have settled into a loving, warm community here in West Seattle and can't say enough good things about the folks that call this place home. This community has just taken us in and we love all that we get to do here this winter, and it's been really good. It's been a healing experience for all of us. It's been a place to just be able to look within and take some time for ourselves. And now we're getting really excited for 2023 and all the adventures that are getting lined up for us. The neighborhood we decided to settle in is really lovely to walk around, although it is mighty hilly, so our legs are getting good workouts. But as we were walking one day, Mayru and I looked over and we were like, what's this place? It was a huge plot of land that was being farmed in the middle of a neighborhood. And then as I started to read signs, I realized it was a farm for everyone. It was an edible food forest that was actually a city park here in Seattle. I couldn't believe it. It was all there with educational signs and beautiful nutrient-dense food that was free to the public. I started to walk around it and needed to learn more. And so another day when I was walking by, I bumped into Stu, who is part of volunteering to manage the land, and told Stu how excited I was to see this edible food forest. And we began to chat and I asked if we could share more about it. So today's episode is all about Prep Garden, this amazing edible food forest that is a city park free to the public that is doing amazing things in their community. And wouldn't it be cool if we could replicate this more and more and more? So let's check it out.
that was really picked back quite aggressively.
I know. Yeah, that's a keeper. That is a very strong grower.
Yeah. So this is a city park. Land was purchased by the city parks department here in Seattle, and the way it came about is because there was a very well-supported land acquisition levy that the voters voted on, and they decided, yes, we want more open space. And us and Helen and myself and some neighbors were always looking at this property, which has always been agricultural, and we're thinking, well, we would really like to turn that into a community garden. And that went on for a couple, 3 years before we saw it for sale, and we got the city to come in and buy it. The purchase took place in 2009, and that was during the deep housing market recession. And although the land was on the market for $550,000, the city was able to negotiate a deal for $160,000 for 2/3 of an acre, which was a super good real estate investment.
So when we got the land, the first thing was that there was a 6 or 9 foot high fence around the entire property, and there was a ramshackle house here, and there were old ramshackle goat houses here, and lots of garbage and brambles everywhere. It was just really a mess. So we were able to get in. The city of Seattle wanted to do the cleanup, and they did it very slowly. They had a lot to do. And we were able to come in and very slowly start to clean out the garbage. And we also, I think Stu started, and we all started to make a garden. As soon as the house went away, we started to make the garden up there. We had lots of cardboard, and we started with the permaculture layering of the garden. And so that was our first little garden up there. I don't remember, was it a year later that you did the terracing?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
I actually was looking at the slope, and I had been doing some studying about how terracing works so well for water retention, for water flow, and for bioswales, so that you can work with less water into your garden. And we really wanted to have, the first thing to be done is a giving garden where people could come in and take what they want. And so we started hand terracing out the whole thing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels that are all about 40, 50 feet across, with multiple beds in each level, about 10 to 12 beds per each level.
The other thing that's really great about it is that the paths, which are very deep and filled with wood chips, retain water in our very dry season. They're like bioswales. We're thinking about making them deeper this year, but we're working very hard on making this more of a dry land garden, because our climate is getting drier and drier and drier, even though today it's pouring rain. But in the summertime, we have a drought situation, getting more drought-like as the years pass. We have 2 cisterns up there that are catching water, and we're about to buy a third one that's, I think, 3,000 gallons. And that one, they'll all feed each other, and so we'll have maybe
about 5,500, because we have 2 1,400 gallons already, and then we'll get a 3,000 to go on that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. A lot of our new plantings need water, and we're anticipating a time. First of all, rainwater is much better than municipal water, but there have been times in the Northwest where the municipal water is turned off. It's illegal to water a garden. So we're thinking about having our own source of rainwater, as well as continuing to make our soil and our swales to hold water so that not much watering has to be done.
This place is such a dream. Like,
Yeah.
it's just...
Well, I don't know what kind of atmospheric pressures, we'll say, drove you to this to this neighborhood. It's very, to me, it's very scary, interesting.
Yeah.
How do these things happen?
I know, right? It's like the things we've been dreaming up, and I just walked by, I'm like, it's all right here. What just happened?
Let me empty one of the, clear one of these off so we can actually handle the beautiness of this.
guys are like my idols, man. This is like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, geez. That's pretty flattering. I have to say something for me.
Oh, man.
I mean, we have to mainstream ourselves to where this isn't unusual at all anymore. And that's what I'm looking at. So this is not our compost bin here. This is leaf that we collect, and you can see right over here. We collect mounds and mounds of leaves from a landscaper who's very good at making sure we don't get anything foreign that we don't want. So we really know the landscaper well, and when they collect leaves, they bring them here. So we're really using waste that they otherwise would have to haul off into a distant area and pay to get rid of. And so they bring it to us and we create it. So this is actually leaf mulch that it's been sitting for a year. It was in a different bin, but it's gone down to really nice compost now. So without any other ingredients, like green being added, it's full carbon. It's full carbon. So it's some of the best stuff. We're actually going to use this as our potting soil mix after we sift it out this spring when we really start going into potting again. So what we do is we stack them and then let them come down, and we'll stack them again, let them come down, and then stack them over and over again. So we have 3 large bins of leaves. That one is actually compost there.
And this arrangement will become this beautiful potting soil.
It about a 12-month period too. It doesn't take 2 years if you use this method. So it's getting moisture, it's getting breathability, it's getting stacked. I think that's the most important thing. We really stack it. We have 7 compost bins, and we find that to be very important. You do collect produce from a local produce stand when they can't use it or can't sell it anymore, and they need someone to haul it away. So yeah, we'll do it. Us and our project here, as well as other farmers who feed animals, livestock, with that produce. We bring it here though, and we use it for composting. So we'll chop it and put it into our compost bin, which we have 7 of these pellet-based ones, which we like the best because we can get the type of volume necessary to really create great compost. Smaller volume doesn't create as good of a compost and not as fast. We really get a really good mixture of compost. This is a working compost here that we actually have spread our compost pretty much for the season. So this will go out in the spring, and the rest of these are in the process, and we'll keep on working on them some more. The rest of these are in the process of breaking down. This number 6 here is mostly garden residue. A lot of it, we decided that if we're going to compost our tomatoes, we'll compost it in one bin so everybody knows where the tomato seeds are. So we went with the tomato residue over here.
What, you don't want tomato volunteers everywhere?
Not everywhere.
That's pretty brilliant.
I mean, I've had some really good volunteer tomatoes, so there's nothing wrong with it. And then we also have our worm bathtub here, and that creates some really good stuff too.
Yeah, this is a food waste.
Look at that. It's
fantastic. Makes worm castings.
And down here, well, you see what we get out of it in the end. It's just beautiful. This will also be a part of our potting soil mix too.
And then what's under here?
That's worm juice. Actually, I have to empty it again.
Yeah.
This is worm juice. So when we get moisture through here, it comes through the drain. And right now we have
the bathtub drain.
Bathtub drain. And right now we have quite a bit of worm tea brewing. Well, it'll brew when it gets warm again. But we have a 50-gallon barrel with a spigot so that we can take our liquid fertilizers and mix it in with our watering system, or better yet, sometimes we'll flush the roots of the plants so they get that really instant and quite strong nutrient and nitrogen, because a lot of this is probably in the 10-12 nitrogen rating, so it's up there, and so we'll get that nitrogen right away. And it also is usable for inoculating your with microbes, inoculating your soils, your beds, as well as your compost piles.
So this is a marvelous thing here. This is our homemade sifter. We put the compost in here in the spring when we want the really fine compost for our starts, and we shake it, and we put a wheelbarrow underneath, and we get beautiful, fine compost or potting soil or garden soil.
Yes, and it's well, we've been doing sifting for a long time because we still have a bindweed problem that we're controlling it in various ways. We're controlling, especially with the slab mulching of the cardboard and the wood chips. But at the same time, we decided that the only way we're going to get rid of the bulk of it is to sift out the soil. So we were actually doing sifting before we built this by hand and on top of wheelbarrows and that sort of thing. It was really actually very taxing on the volunteers and myself. So this actually is really easy to use, and it's incredibly fast. We're always surprised at how, because we have the right mesh there. I think we have just the right mesh, not to let the bad stuff through, but really to allow the good stuff to go through quickly. The only thing investment-wise was really the eye bolts and the springs. We try to do most of this just by repurposing waste. It's a really big thing, and some waste in the form of people who don't want their fruit trees anymore. If they call that waste, we'll say that's not waste, we want it. As well as leaves, wood chips, old produce.
We scavenge wood too. People
Wood,
throw away an
yeah.
old fence. We get
Cedar.
all kinds of excellent lumber to
Yes.
build with.
So we do a lot of repurposing, and even the plastics. Like we talked about our winter sowing, which we do inside of jugs. We have to reach out to the community and say, hey, because I actually don't have those jugs, or I don't believe you do either.
No, I'm gonna use the
So we
product.
always have to reach out and get it from the community. So
They're not ready. How can that be? But they're getting there. Not quite. This one is getting soft.
take some patience.
Yeah, it really does take some patience here.
How long ago did you guys plant that?
Huh?
Was that here when you started it?
No, we planted these, and we planted them recently.
Really?
They're only about 2 to 3 years old.
Oh my gosh.
So
And,
they're really a wonderful winter fruit.
Wow.
These are full of vitamin C, and they taste like an apple that's been baked in cinnamon custard.
And you call it, it's a medlar?
A Medlar.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, that's awesome.
We inherited many beautiful trees here, and however, some of them had the bark eaten off by the goats that used to live here, but the fruit is so excellent. So what we're doing is we're taking the branches off these beautiful trees, which are dying, and we're grafting them on to our very healthy trees. And in a year or two, those trees will die, but we will have captured the variety, which in some cases may be 50 years old. We don't even know what kind of apples they are, but you know that they're delicious.
Can we see one?
Yes, of course.
Awesome.
Let's do. Tree is an heirloom apple. It makes a small yellow apple which has
Delicious.
overtones of cherry in it. It's just very, very unusual. But the goats that were living here ate all the bark off, and this tree, as you can see, is not very healthy. And it's every year it's slightly more dead than it was the year before. So we had one of our young folks climb up and take some branches off, and we had a very stump of an old healthy tree. This is an apple tree, and these are all the branches from that tree growing on the apple tree. These are all the grafts from what we call our cherry apple tree. We don't know the official name. And they're all healthy. They have fruit buds on them. Some of them were attached 3 years ago, some 2, and some 1. And every single graft has taken.
Woohoo!
And what happens is that once these grafts get big enough, this tree will get pruned so that the original apple tree branches will be gone, and it'll only be growing the grafts.
So
And
cool.
it's a wonderful way to salvage
Yes.
unusual fruit.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
So just to show you where we started, these are the first 2, the original mound cultures, which are also called Hugelkulturs. We started, we have to prune a lot, and we get an awful lot of materials which cannot be composted. We have a lot of wood and branches. We have dried up, brambles, and we have no service that takes it away. So we make great mounds of it, And then when it's all dry and we're sure it's not going to grow, we cover it with compost and grass and leaves. And a year later, we're planting it with things that are deeply rooted and are going down in the summertime to the now rotting woody materials, and they're getting their sustenance. They're getting water and nutrients. And now these are quite old. They used to be up to here, and now you see where they are. These grow marvelous squash. We grow all kinds of beautiful squash here in the old Hugelkulturs, and they're very, very rich. We don't water them very much, hardly ever, and they're doing a beautiful job for us, and they look nice. And over there, we have the new Hugelkulturs. This is where we pile things up, and if we go over there, we'll see one of the beds that we're starting to work on that will grow probably a very shallow crop in the springtime. Yeah.
More of a cover crop.
More of a cover crop. We'll either grow flowers or buckwheat.
Oh, good
so
old
whatever,
buckwheat.
different cover crops will be grown there to try to build up the layers. And then the following year, that one can grow squashes or something deeply rooted. Melons, maybe get some watermelons going out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are able to grow watermelons.
We
Yes.
are able to grow very
What?
small ones.
I was
Very
gonna say,
small
in
ones,
Santa
not full
Cruz,
size.
that is like off my list. That and cantaloupe, they're like tiny
Yeah,
and
they
cute.
everything is
Good
tiny
cantaloupes.
here.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
We-
we had a couple of them this
Yeah, we grew good
grocery
cantaloupes,
store
but
style.
we grew good cantaloupes. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
The most
That was
amazing thing,
surprising.
in my opinion, that we grew is for a long time we've grown banana trees for the Filipino community to make their banana leaf confections.
Mhm.
This year, and we always knew bananas in the Northwest will never flower and they'll never make
Never.
bananas.
Never,
This
ever.
year we got a flower this big,
No.
and on top were 2 bunches of
What?
green bananas.
What?
So if anybody doesn't believe global warming is real, you
Oh.
should see the photos of our banana tree making bananas.
My
In
goodness. Have you guys heard of, I could definitely be saying it wrong, Akira or Achira? It's Achira. It's another banana leaf that is used and wrapped in desserts, and you can
Oh.
eat the tubers.
Oh,
It's
I'd like to know about that.
yeah, I could probably bring some up from Santa Cruz.
Oh.
Yeah, we
And
could.
you think
What
it grows
zones?
here?
Yeah, well, it's like banana, so I have it
Could
with
be
my
out
banana
here.
trees.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Our climate
Wow.
is very different from what it was before.
yeah, interesting.
Yes. We have some very unusual things here. We have, for example, sea buckthorn. This is our sea buckthorn lane. Not too many people are familiar with gumi, with honeyberries are exquisite. Honeyberries are like blueberries, but they're ready May 1st.
Oh,
So they're the
what?
first berry of the season. We don't have anything earlier than that to eat.
They're not. Are they native?
Oh no, they're from China.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
Honeyberries.
of our things are from other places.
Okay,
We don't
okay.
grow many natives at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we got some really interesting stuff.
And the artichokes keeping up here.
And artichokes are fabulous in the Northwest.
I know.
Yeah, we've always
Okay,
believed
that
we
could be
grew
a
good
selling point for
artichokes.
me.
This was a super artichoke. It was about
Oh.
that tall.
Yeah.
I was the only one who could pick them. I was 6'3", so Helen would say, "Can you get an artichoke for me?"
So a magnificent artichoke, which partly got the benefit of Stu's wonderful teas. We make fabulous teas for summer watering that make things grow like Jeff and Beanstalk.
There's several uses. One of them is to give that quick flush to the roots from the various things that we have in terms of tea. The other one is to inoculate soils, inoculate compost. So a lot of it is based on growing some new microbes and billions and billions upon billions, almost like Carl Sagan style, microbes. So one of the teas is right here is nettle tea. Actually, this is still from spring. We didn't go through the whole harvest of nettles there.
Are you getting these from down?
From
Where-
our green belts, right?
Okay, yeah.
I actually have a couple of nettle harvesting places.
Okay.
I think, no. And then the other one we do is jadam. Jadam. There's a couple ways to say it. And that is basically, and you can see in here, you see the white stuff, that is microbes. That's all microbes right there. And this is more or less Comfrey is number one in here. Comfrey is our number one material. But anything else that we just, okay, we don't have a place for it, we'll throw it in there and make a tea out of it. It's really excellent for the different types of nutrients and minerals. And sometimes we've done seaweed as well.
Yeah.
So that's all things that tend to come out better if we turn it into a tea. This is actually our worm tea right here.
So this came from over at the worm.
Yes. And this is what we're collecting
Bathtub.
right now. So we just come here with our little container. We just turn this on, get ourselves some, not very much, but enough. I would say about half of this, and then we put that. So it's like with worm tea, you pretty much go, I think, a 5 to 1 or a little bit more, because it's not going to burn. It's not going to, but look how rich that is too. But it's not going to burn, but it does add a lot to the soil.
Wow.
So even with this, I would be able to just sprinkle it across the top of that, and it's going to work in there and do very good things for us in terms of the soil development. It's an easy thing, and again, it utilizes waste. So it's, to me, it's and we've seen the results. It really does a good job.
You can make teas out of anything green. Grass is a wonderful thing. As long as you have grass that you know has no chemicals on it. If you
Or
put
seed.
grass,
Or seed.
yeah, or seeds. If you put grass into buckets and you save it for even 2 weeks, you take the water from the grass, it's loaded with minerals and nitrogen. And so that's a very simple thing that a lot of people can do. You don't need all these fancy plants, but since we have the option of growing comfrey and nettles, and we have an ocean nearby, we get seaweed, we use it, but it's not necessary. You get just as good from grass.
I have it at my house, but I have 5-gallon buckets full of fish guts. And
Yep,
they're
yep.
already liquefied. And in fact, inside there, everything that was flesh and bone is now liquefied. So it's ready to be added to any one of these. That's a super nitrogen there. And the other one that we do is I have chickens at the house. We bring them down here every once in a while to free range. But we have chickens at the house, and I collect that manure, and I actually will prefer to use that as a tea as well. So I'll mix it with water and then make a chicken manure tea out of it, and that works really good. Another nitrogen fixer.
Yeah. Gosh, this is just like a gold field here.
Well,
Yeah.
it's otherwise waste.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the ideas that we had at the very beginning is that we wanted a garden that completely supported itself. And the only thing that we really bring from outside is municipal water. We make all our own fertilizers. We make, liquid fertilizer and compost fertilizers and specialty fertilizers for things like strawberries that want high acid soils. We don't go out and buy anything anymore.
So cool.
It's really great. Oh, and we save our own seeds. We do all our own seed packets.
So you guys, 2016 is really when you broke ground here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then would you say 2017 was your first kind of full summer, or was it like 2018 when you really started?
2016 was pretty much our full summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
16, we were
You were already
working here in
pumping.
16.
Okay.
We were up there.
Okay.
Mostly
doing
up
the.
there, and we had some things. Well, this bed right behind us right here was one of our first beds down off of the terracing. This, by the way, this was all blackberries. Really hard to get rid of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe it was for us, but we slab mulched and we didn't allow them to come back, and we slab mulched, and we're finding this formula works pretty good. It should work for everybody. After 2 layers of first the layer of cardboard, and then a fairly thick, like 10-inch layer of wood chips. And then sooner or later, like if you do that in the fall, in the spring, you'll see some things trying to pop through again. So you put the cardboard down again and you put that 10 inches of wood chip on there. And then sooner or later, it takes a lot longer this time, you see things start to pop through again. And then we'll put a layer of wood chips over, no cardboard. Yeah. And then after that, well, first of all, those things that were popping through after the second mulching, they are so easy to pull out. And after that third layer that we do, we're finding things aren't coming back anymore. So it is possible to squeeze out just about anything, including bindweed or blackberries, which are really both very hard to squeeze out. Horsetails are different.
Yeah.
Horsetails come from way down below, but we use the horsetails.
I was gonna say, you taught me this. Like, why horsetails? Keep them in the ground.
Well, they're full of silica is the number one, and they have lots of they are actually bioaccumulators, so they have lots of deep root that pulls minerals and nutrients up from way down there, and so we don't till at all. So that's the only way we can get to those minerals, and then we'll put that in our liquid fertilizers too. So I mentioned that we have a lot of comfrey in there. We have a lot of horsetail in there, and we will compost horsetail as well.
I just wanted to mention that these very simple cloches, which are nothing more than wires in the ground with this remay cloth over them, they enhance the growing so much. For one thing, we have a lot of animals here that like to dig in the soil and they'll eat the plants. They protect them from the animals. They increase the warmth to the degree that they will grow beautifully, and they don't feel the wind chill, which is so important. Keeps them warm at night when sometimes it's really too cold for them. So all of these cloches have crops under them that are doing much better than if we didn't have the cloches.
Let's go take a look.
So why don't we look and see what the difference is? Yeah.
Let's lift that.
Let's
side
lift
because
it up. Okay. Yeah.
there's a pin over here. I'm sure it'll log. So Mizuna, ruffled kale, bok choy, lettuce. Look at that nice lettuce.
And no frostbite. We've had snow. We've had quite a bit of frost. We've had snow and ice and.
Here's some.
I mean, we didn't just have snow. We had like what, 6 inches at one point on the ground.
Yeah.
But it didn't affect the stuff under the cloches.
Not here.
Wow.
And here's some endive.
Yeah.
So each one of these have a nice abundance under them already. And we can only say by January 15th, we'll be back into full growth business again.
Gosh.
We're never without crops that we can eat. We always have beautiful foods that are in
Year-round
perfect
harvest.
condition any month of the year.
That Mizuna is just pretty. I don't.
Isn't that beautiful, Mizuna? This one here is so
I
decorative
don't know
as
if I
well
wanna
as
eat that. I
delicious.
just want to look at
I
it.
know, they're gorgeous.
So if you're interested in doing something like this and you see that piece of property that's available, it could be a piece of property that had a condemned house on it. The house was torn down and they leveled it out and it's all sitting there empty and no one's developing it. You should get your funding together through maybe some land acquisition grants, neighborhood fundraisers, and if you come up with 150,000 or so for an empty lot, you can probably get yourself your own community garden going that way with that initial investment. But through different PCC co-op here in the Northwest, is Puget Sound Consumers Co-op, they have a land acquisition grant available you apply for. Many of the parks departments do this as well throughout the nation. And the other possibility is there's many foundations that are there specifically for the purpose of protecting agricultural space, whether it's urban or rural. I have some squash.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah,
I thought I missed the
I
boat.
was going to bring it down, but could you come by the house?
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick? I'll
yeah.
go to it's in my greenhouse, so it will stay
Oh, yes.
warm.
They're
Awesome.
beautiful kabocha squashes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm just thinking maybe this needs to be just mowed,
Uh-huh.
leaf mold,
Uh-huh.
This is called Zoodoo.
Zoodoo?
This is mostly rhino.
Rhino?
This is from rhinoceros.
Where are you getting rhinoceros poop from?
At our Woodland Park Zoo.
Oh my
And-
goodness.
All their animals at the zoo can actually fill one of their big blocks. I'm talking maybe 50 cubic foot. More than that, maybe more. 100 cubic foot, and they fill it in 10 days.
What?
So right now they're asking us to come and get it. Come and get as much as you can because they're overwhelmed with zoodoo. I don't know how many actually zoos are doing that, you know, saying, hey, come and get her. But zoodoo's been around for decades. Usually they sell it, they have their sales each year, but when they get overwhelmed like they are now, they invite all the community gardens, pea patches, community gardens, that sort of thing, to come and get some.
Wow.
That's what we did yesterday. Yeah, so we're gonna just take these that we got from the produce stand, just because they're not going to sell them anymore.
Okay.
And the roots are already there. We put them in the ground and they grow. So one of the things I'd like to do for a demonstration garden is do a kitchen waste garden.
Yeah.
Celery, carrots. There's so many things you can just grow.
Yes.
I mean, carrot greens at least, but you might get root too. Onions, garlic. I mean, there's so many things you can grow instead of putting compost. Gloves on.
Yeah.
Not bad. I didn't see the temperature in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the sunshine is deceiving, you know.
We're using these initially to prevent insects from going under the cloches and animals that don't like these alliums. And the soil is so soft. I've been using my finger, but you can also just take a tool and make a hole, make a hole and bury it about that deep.
Let me help get you opened up there.
Oh, you mean I don't have to crawl in there?
No. I think you only need to roll it off one side here.
Okay.
Because it'll have an effect on the kind of a deterrent. All alliums do that.
What? Push it halfway down, okay?
So there's still a lot of oregano here. You need some.
All right. All the way down there. Nice. Push a little bit.
So you think we should do rolling cloches?
What I'm doing here is try to plant the scallions in between of the kale tree here, because the insect doesn't like the oil from scallion. So we use this kind of thing like natural pesticide or something like that. So I started working here for I think about 10 months. So there was one day I walked along the street here and then I found this community farm. And then the next weekend after that, I started working here twice a week and for 2 hours for each session. Yeah, and I have been harvesting the vegetable and fruit here too. We don't use any kind of pesticide here, so it's safe to eat. And I usually during summertime, I just usually walk here and then pick the fruit here, and then it's fresh. I don't have to wash it anyway.
Yeah, that's so awesome. What a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it awesome to be part of the community here? Like, does it
Yeah.
just... Yeah.
That's why I want to buy a house here and I don't want to move anywhere.
So cool.
Thanks for coming. Nice to see you.
Coming up next, Justin and I narrow down our goals and aspirations for 2023, creating a rough plan for where our adventures will go from here, while also honing in on our places we wish to buy land for our dream future farm.